Okay, how far away are we from rocking and rolling?
We're good.
Okay, so I'm gonna hit live.
As long as you're good.
Yeah, I'm just getting some water for us.
Kyle Van
Streams.
Kyle Van Stream.
Has
Skill. Kyle Van Stream. Has a van full of stream.
What
Kyle
is-
has skill?
From the stream.
Evan has skill. All right, everybody, we are about to rock and roll. I'm here at Long Road Distillers with one of the owners, Kyle Van Streen, and with the world famous Nick Britsky, also known as Nick Drinks. So we're gonna talk about some spirits here, and Stacy, I will drink one of those for you. And Mikey Cupcakes, hello to you as well. I see Alicia, the bourbon sipper, coming with us. Chelsea K. Barnes, what's up, girl? Stacy Bellin, I've only got that heart. That's my heart for you, sweetheart. So if you guys stick with it, holla! If you guys stick with it, we're definitely gonna have some fun. I just rigged up this quick live feed to go along with the super professional work that Nick is doing behind the scenes. I'm trying to piggyback on that.
See if you can you see it?
There it is.
Can you kind of see it, everyone?
That's the setup. How do you like that? How do you like it now? All right, so we're about to rock and roll. We're gonna talk about some cool stuff. Don't get bored. You know, it's gonna take us a couple minutes to really hit our groove here, but stay with us. And let's see if those numbers go up. I mean, this is the real deal.
Where do you want me to sit?
Right there.
Okay.
You're in the captain's seat.
Vodka. Start out like,
I was at an establishment the other day, and there was a lady who was like, "You guys have Long Road vodka?" And the guy behind the counter said, "Nope." And I knew because I had seen the Aquavit already. And I actually said, "Yeah, they do." You know, and I said, "Yeah, they do. Let me show you." And so then they pulled it out, and she left with some vodka. So
that's what I like to hear.
yeah,
Sweet.
One window.
But I think it's bright on me.
Oh, it's just on yours.
which is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On Nick's, it looks fancy.
Yeah, well, Nick's is legit.
Yeah.
Nick's the real deal. Nick's wearing a tie. Nick is wearing a tie.
I went to a fancy meeting.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna work us through.
All right, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Let's get official.
Yeah.
All right, hey everyone, Nick Drinks here, live at Long Road Distillers, and we have one of the founders right here. We have Kyle Van Streen, and we also have a special guest today. We have Evan Haskell from The Bourbon Show.
Hello.
So check that out. That's on the ABV network. Any other plugs you want to do?
Evan Does GR on Instagram. That's at Evan Does GR.
Just follow me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Can you follow back?
I did.
Thank
I
you.
totally followed back.
Thank you so much. Kyle follows me as well. And I
Hold
follow
on.
Kyle.
We didn't talk in the microphone that whole time.
Hey!
Live feed, you get that joke. All right. Hey everyone, this is Nick Drinks here. We are live at Long Road Distillers here in Grand Rapids. We're in Grand Rapids, right? More or less? Grand Rapids. All right. And we have one of the founders here. We have Kyle Van Streen. Nice to meet you officially in person. And we also have a special guest from The Bourbon Show on the AVN network. We have Evan Haskell.
Hey Nick, thank you so much for having me. I'm blessed to be here. I got a couple of real superstars, and I'm just here in the background hanging out. So,
All right, we're sharing a microphone here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of their products right here. There are 8 different products that are available direct from the distillery. Most of them you can get around Michigan. Any other states that we're in?
Not yet. No, we're working on a couple other states, but right now just in Michigan.
Okay, so coming soon to other states. But right now, take us through the list. I'm going to give you the microphone.
All right. So this is sort of the base for everything. Our vodka, made from 100% Red Winter wheat, sourced from right here in West Michigan. We get most of our grain from Heffern Farms in Belding, Michigan. No exception here. So John and I, we were not vodka guys when we started this, but we knew that we needed a good vodka. We wanted a vodka we could be proud of, not just something that we used as a filler until we were ready to whip out all of our whiskeys, things that we really love to drink. So we wanted something that we liked, that we could sip on. So we, sat down and we started tasting through craft vodkas and, big company vodkas. We wanted to try everything, figure out what they were using for their base ingredients, and then try to give our own twist on that. So
Now, everything is made here, sourced locally-ish?
Yes, everything is made here from scratch. All of these products started out as whole ingredients here. So our vodka, our gin, our Wendy Peppercorn, our aquavit are all 100% red winter wheat. We're getting our corn, our rye, and our malted barley all from West Michigan farmers as well. And the cherry brandy that we'll get to is made from 100% whole tart cherries from West Michigan as well. So the vodka, we discovered we liked grain-based vodkas compared to a potato or even a corn vodka that's going to have a little more astringency. The wheat vodka has kind of a nice creamy mouthfeel, has a really smooth, sweet finish. It's not for every drink. We found that this doesn't work that great in a dirty martini with that olive brine. It doesn't match real well with the sweet flavors of this. But for everything else, it's a great sipper, and it works well mixing in cocktails.
Well, thank you so much for inviting us out.
That's the best vodka I've ever had.
Yeah, what's great is what drives me nuts about vodka is, by definition, it is supposed to be odorless, tasteless, this plain alcohol concept. And so whenever someone can put some flavor into it, maybe as against the rules as that might be, still, this is delicious. This has flavors to work with from a cocktails perspective, so you could build off of this. But even sipping it on its own, it's nice.
On the nose. And those who follow me, they know that I'm big on nosing. I'll probably nose any drink 3 or 4 times for every sip that I take. And on the nose, man, it was just candy sweet. And, for maybe not everybody loves that, but for me, oh my goodness, I could drink this neat all day long. Grey Goose who? I don't even need them.
All right.
Well, what it does have that sort of butterscotch, toffee, vanilla note that works really well. We don't use any activated carbon to treat any of our spirits, so it's going to retain a lot of those grain flavors. They call it the Geist in some countries, this ghost of the grain that still exists. And throughout all of our spirits, we want those base ingredients to really speak for themselves. Like a nice wine, we want our spirits to have terroir. We're using high-quality local ingredients, and so we want those to speak for the spirits, not fancy packaging or whatever. We want the flavor to really shine.
You mentioned packaging, though. You have a very nice, elegant package, clean lines, good colors, and some of my graphic design friends are big fans of your packaging. So not to knock that, it's still a great design.
Thank you. And if that's the case, I won't mention that we're actually updating in the coming months, but we're really excited. It's actually going to bring our logo and the kind of badge shield that we're really proud of more to the forefront, so it'll stand out from a distance. But no, Josh, our buddy here on the west side, helped us with all of our branding, and he's done a fantastic job.
Cool.
So next, we have our gin. We use the vodka as the base for our botanical spirits. These next spirits, the next 3 spirits, we would consider our botanical spirits. So our gin, our pink peppercorn flavored vodka we call Wendy Peppercorn, and our aquavit. So we're actually pulling the more flavorful portion of the vodka run for our vodka. The more neutral portion of that run we'll use to flavor with botanicals.
Wendy Peppercorn, is that a reference to The Sandlot? Yeah. Outstanding, well done. Yep, I love what you did there. And this is the world's best gin, yes?
It's been named as such in a few competitions. Yeah, it was named Best Gin in the World at the 50 Best competition in New York City, and it was the highest rated domestic gin in the SIP Awards, which is the world's largest consumer tasting event, won a platinum medal there. So pretty proud of that, yeah. So as I mentioned on our tour, we distill each of our gin botanicals individually. This, our original gin, is a 6 botanical blend. We have juniper, cardamom, coriander, grains of paradise, pink peppercorn, and then fresh lemon peel. So we hand peel over 100 pounds of lemons for every batch. We find that that really gives it that nice, sweet, candy lemon flavor. So we wanted something somewhat traditional, so lots of juniper, but then lots of citrus, and then a little punch of spice from that pink peppercorn on the end.
All right, cheers.
I do not like gin at all, but I would drink that. My goodness, I'd drink that. Well done. Well done. I mean, I think it's the Wendy peppercorn aspect to it, but I mean, man, that's...
So what's interesting about gin is it's easy to get into gin because basically you get yourself a vodka, you put the botanicals in it, you have gin. So that is typically one of the first spirits that new distilleries will come out with. So my thing in my home bar, if you will, I have so many gins. Yeah. It gets hard to distinguish them and tell them apart. I really like yours because there's a great black pepper taste in there. There's some really nice flavors. It's not super over the top with the pine and the juniper. So it's good. I think this could also be a very good mixing gin as well.
Thank you. And yeah, you'll see that we leave a lot of our spirits at higher proof. We want them to be able to hold up in a cocktail. So our gin and our aquavit are 45%. And this in particular, this gin, you go to some of my favorite bars and I'll have them make a cocktail with this. The thing that really stands out and makes it familiar is that pink peppercorn really shines through, holds up really nicely in cocktails. But one thing we did with this, we didn't use any bitter botanicals like an orris root or angelica, just because we found that accentuates the pine nature of a gin. And so we wanted this to be a more well-rounded, balanced gin. So hopefully we've accomplished that. By avoiding those things. So next we've got our Wendy Peppercorn as products of the 80s. We had to have our little ode to the lifeguard from the Sandlot. So even the little story on the back of the bottle talks all about Wendy. You'll find that this is at 101 proof. The reason for that, we initially aimed for 80, and when we went to proof this down to 80 for the first time, so many essential oils carried over in the distillation process that it lausches at about 94 proof. And so rather than... so it's this shear effect where the water binds to the essential oils that carry over, and at a certain proof it will present itself as a white cloud basically, and you can't get that to go away.
So if you think about absinthe, if you think about Pernod and things like that, when you mix the water in there and it gets that white cloudiness, that's lausching. And I actually was not aware that it's something you could get in gin, so that is interesting.
Yep. So this is technically a flavored vodka. But it's one of the things that we discovered by doing our gin botanicals individually. Pink peppercorn is one of those things, and so we discovered we really like this all by itself. So this was one of our first flavored vodka adventures, and we love it. And if you take a little sip of it at full strength, you'll get a little bit more spice. But if you add some water to about equal parts water, proof it down a little, it changes the texture. It really brings out more of a citrus, sweet candy note, and the spice kind of just fades away. It's really only on the nose after you add some water.
That is the best Wendy Peppercorn I've ever had in my life, hands down. Nick, do you agree?
Yeah, of course. Again, good flavors. When you say flavored vodka, it's almost a bad word because there are so many flavors out there, from bubblegum to birthday cake to everything under the sun. To have something this elegant and interesting, it's very refreshing.
Yeah, no sugar added, no flavors added after the fact. This is a single botanical that we're distilling, and we proof it down to 101, and then it goes into a bottle. So there's nothing fake about this or any of the products that we're putting out. And to finish that, yeah.
I am most excited about this one. I actually bought a bottle at home and I haven't cracked it yet. So
And I have a bottle of Van Winkle Special Reserve Lot B that I haven't cracked yet. So I think I think it's basically the same, right? I mean, you're waiting for the secondary market to improve before you open it?
You decided not to bring that so that we could enjoy that together, Evan? Come on.
Why would I bring Pappy Van Winkle product when I have Long Road Distillers bourbon right here in front of me?
So that we can say that we drank it all together, you know, just plowed through a bottle of it. So next we've got our Aquavit. This is a spirit we're really proud of. We're one of very few distilleries in the U.S. that produce this. Aquavit is a traditional Scandinavian spirit. Just like gin, it's its own category in the eyes of the federal government, but rather than juniper being the predominant flavor, it has to be caraway and or dill. Again, one of just a dozen distilleries in the U.S. to try this. We made it for selfish reasons. We've had it before. We've loved it. And it's not often available in the state. Leinie or Linia, however you pronounce it, Aalborg. They're available from time to time, but sometimes out of stock. And so we wanted something that was available year-round from local ingredients. So this is kind of our old world spirit with a local twist. Caraway forward. Transitions into sort of a savory with fresh dill seed, cumin, and then finishes with almost a hint of black licorice. We use anise seed, star anise, and fennel, so it'll finish with a little bit of that tingle. It makes the best Bloody Mary in the world. I know lots of folks out there, Detroit folks, Grand Rapids bartenders, they're loving this, and they've used it in lots of cocktails. We love to see how people are using this.
I'm really looking forward to this because one of the things in the whiskey world and the bourbon world that I'm going to experience soon but haven't yet is what's called a pickleback. Have you ever done a pickleback? Okay. And we're going to be doing that on the Bourbon Show. We're going to be doing a pickleback episode. So I'm interested to see how the dill plays, here in the Aquavit, which I've had before, but I never really knew what all the flavors were. So I'll have a new appreciation for this. Cheers. I can't wait to pickleback.
yeah, I feel like some of the other Aquavits are much more heavy with the caraway, right? Whereas this is the dill kind of seems to sing a little bit more to me. I know they're related, but it's mellow. It's you get a little bit of kind of the peppermint licorice flavor kind of in the middle. Long finish.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah, like I said, we're very proud of this. It's actually, we've entered it into a lot of competitions, and it's never done worse than best, I guess I should say. San Francisco World Spirits Competition and New York World Spirits Competitions, two of the biggest competitions in the world. It won Best Aquavit. It beat out Aalborg and Leinie and 13 other Scandinavian Aquavits in San Francisco. It's won numerous double golds and was named Best in Show at Denver. It tied actually for Best in Show with an 18-year-old Doer Signature. So a $200 bottle of scotch tied for Best in Show.
I want to recount.
Well, good segue. So we've made our way through the base clear spirits. We're now going to head into the brown spirit line, which this is something that most distilleries don't open with. And not saying that you're opening right now, but a lot of them.
Almost 2 years now.
Yeah, you have to age this product. You have to age the brown spirits. So it's always exciting to see the distilleries that have done and taken the time to do this and make a quality product.
Were you tempted at all when you opened to source some bourbon, or did you know right out of the gate that you were going to make your own product and wait it out?
It's built into our name that we do everything from scratch. So we don't take shortcuts. That's very important to us. So while we've seen other companies who have done that and been very successful at it, made a lot of money, and I won't name names, but recently sold for lots of money, people do well at that. But that's sort of the thing that we hate about the industry.
Sure.
I mean, I'll just be honest. We're not in it to sell out in a couple years after we've built a brand. We're in it for the long haul, and we want our spirits to be authentic. The long road. The long road, yeah, exactly. So
Now I get it.
authenticity is very important to us. So, but these three spirits and a fourth whiskey that we've released, but we've already run out of, our rye whiskey, are all part of what we call the Wayfarers Whiskey Series. It's our small batch experimental 30-gallon barrel whiskey series. So 30 gallons, smaller than a traditional 53. More surface area to volume in the barrel, so it'll age a little more quickly. I'll be honest, it aged more quickly than we even expected. We thought, no, we won't go smaller than a 30-gallon barrel just because we didn't want to over oak and age too quickly. You see we've got 5-gallon barrels over here. These are strictly for cocktails. We don't put any of our whiskey in 5-gallon barrels, although there's been some incredible 5-gallon whiskey made in the world. But yeah, I can go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of things that age quicker than expected, I just wanted to say hi to my wife, Kara.
Wow. Wheat whiskey. So this is 100% wheat from Heffron Farms, just like our vodka. One of the reasons we wanted to make a 100% wheat whiskey was because of the flavors we get out of our vodka. Those like caramel, vanilla, toffee flavors that you're used to in an older whiskey that's aged for many years, where the barrel starts to break down and you start getting that caramelization and the vanillins and tannins developing from the barrel. We were getting those right off the still from the grain, from minimal filtration. So while it's not distilled to 190 proof like our vodka, it is just the same mash bill, fermented in the same way, proofed down, put into a 30-gallon barrel. Anywhere between, at this point, 10 and 16 months old. And we found that's kind of the sweet spot where we're developing all the flavors we want, but we're really trying to avoid the over oak where you start to taste like cardboard and an old cigarette.
So you have both a pot and a column still downstairs. Is this a combo or is this one or the other?
This is twice distilled on our Vendome still, so just the pot still. Okay.
I need the mic. All right. When you think wheat whiskey, Nick, what do you think of? What jumps to mind?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. Weller, right?
Weller's wheated. Weller's a wheated bourbon.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. That's my bad. So, Evan, when I think of wheat whiskey, I think of two things. I think of Bernheim, and I also think of Parker's Heritage Collection. They've got a 13-year-old. So the Bernheim, I don't care for at all because I thought it was too young. The 13-year-old I really enjoyed, but the Parker's Heritage Collection is at the Pappy level of, and it's phenomenal. But I find out now after trying this at, what did you say, several months?
Yeah, this is probably about 11 months old.
It's phenomenal. I mean, it blows Bernheim out of the water. Now, I'm not going to put it up against Parker's at 13 years old, but I think you'd fare pretty well if I did. But Bernheim, good stuff. Great if you're looking for a wheat whiskey. I'd grab this on top of that any day. Hi, Heaven Hill.
So we're looking at, so it says 6 months on the bottle. You're saying
6 months on the bottle.
You're saying it's closer to 11. Okay,
Yep,
got it.
Yep. So, as far as age statements go in the eyes of the federal government, as far as the age statements go in the eyes of the federal government, you have to put the age of the youngest spirit in the bottle. We printed these labels a year ago with the anticipation that maybe we'll release a 6-month-old. We never did. And now you'll see on some of our other whiskey bottles, we just say 6+. Once we move into our full-size barrels, since this was our experimental line, once we fine-tune all of our mash bills and our process and shift everything into 53-gallon barrels, we'll have a proper age statement where it's straight whiskey. It's 2 to 6 years old for most of our whiskeys, I would imagine.
You say fine-tune, but are you familiar with the phrase, if it's not broke, don't fix it?
Yes, and our wheat whiskey is not broke and we're not fixing it. We'll continue to do this, and this is something, it's really important for us to keep in mind the industry that we're in, but as a craft member of that industry, we're not in the business to gouge anybody. There's a lot of craft whiskey on the shelf for $60, $70. That's not the business we're in. We want this to be accessible for as many people as possible. In our wheat whiskey, we feel like that's a whiskey that we can put out there at a year old out of 30-gallon barrels for $39.99, and hopefully people can use it in drinks, on menus, and hopefully enjoy it for years to come. So this is something we're not going to change much. And the joke is, this is my session whiskey if there ever was one. Easy to drink. I could drink it all day long if it didn't put me to sleep. That's my defense mechanism.
Nice.
Sleep. Yeah.
Okay, moving along.
So moving along, this is our malt whiskey. We would say that this is made in an Irish pot stilled style. It is 51% malted barley from Pilot Malt House, 49% unmalted barley, all West Michigan grain. Hey guys.
If you come in, it's fine. We can cut. You can, yeah.
Nice haircut. Well, it is Facebook Live. Yeah, that's Facebook Live.
We're live.
Looks good.
It is live?
Yeah, looks good.
Where are we going live to?
Instagram.
Evans people.
Instagram live.
Internet. Evans people.
Evans people. Say hi to Evans people.
Little more. There you go.
Actually, if you could look over there and tell me if there's more than 2 people watching.
Daniel got a haircut.
I'd really
Looks good. What do you think?
Johnson does a great job.
Rogue.
7-letter.
That's it. Yeah, you nailed it. She does. Look at the fade. You said you weren't going to get a fade. She only does fades.
It's what she does well.
I love it.
This is the GM, right? This
Yeah, this is Daniel Lovig.
4 people.
Hey.
we got 4. That's fine. But
So this is a long live.
Yeah, it is long.
And I'm just
You're
glad
gonna
to
get
go.
the up
I'm
and
not,
up.
this is for whatever.
Goofing around, yeah, absolutely.
See ya.
All right,
So-
so here we have. Yeah, go ahead.
Moving on. Yep, this is our malt whiskey, pot distilled in an Irish style. So 51% malted, 49% unmalted barley, all West Michigan grain. I think this fits really nicely into the category. We try to be as true to tradition as possible with all of our spirits. Again, giving it kind of a local twist, all local ingredients. So it's obviously going to be a little different. We want to make the best spirits in the world right here from local ingredients. So this has some of those kind of familiar malt characteristics. I think this is going to appeal more to a beer drinker who's trying to get into whiskey. Still has some of that sweetness, but nice round mouth. I think that our wheat whiskey makes your mouth water. I think this kind of just satisfies you. And our rye whiskey, which we're out of, unfortunately, kind of dried out your palate. It had that, from the tannins in the grain, it really did have that drying effect on the palate. So, yeah, malt whiskey. Cheers.
There's some body. That is nice. So traditionally, when you think malt, you think scotches and things like that. While there is that, there's that malt linger as it kind of finishes up and slows. But this is great. I could totally see this pairing actually really well with beer, and being a very nice compliment.
It makes me want a walnut stuffed date with balsamic and blue cheese. I mean, I feel like right here at Long Road Distillers in Grand Rapids, it is on the menu and it is phenomenal. But I recommend if you get that, get the malt whiskey to go with it. That stuff is that'll put hair on your chest.
Can I ask what barrels you're using? Because now, as it's still finishing, there's a tannin nice feel at the end. Is this American oak?
Yes, all of our whiskeys are aged in New American Oak with a No. 3 char on the inside. These 3 whiskeys were all aged in barrels from the Barrel Mill in Minnesota. They've been in the lumber business for 5 generations, started making barrels about 20 years ago, so they've really done a fine job. We've been really impressed with their barrels. You know, that was one of the problems with the craft distilling industry, craft beer, even big whiskey. They were struggling to find barrels. They were some of the first folks that we were able to get in line for, and we've been really pleased with the quality of the barrels and the quality of the whiskey that it's producing.
Cool. All right.
You know what I thought, now that I'm like we're more than halfway through this, I wish I would have closed that closet. That hum of the ice machine.
This is going to be closer, not here.
Cool.
Here we are.
So, moving on to our bourbon. This is me. So let me see the back of this bottle here. What's the batch number on this? Is this BB1? BB2. Okay. So we released a question your sanity.
If you can find Long Road Distillers bourbon, and you can if you're in Michigan,
You sure can.
get it. Get it.
So
Boom.
moving on to our bourbon. We released our first batch of bourbon a month and a half ago, first week of November. We're really pleased with this. Again, we've never made bourbon on our equipment or with these ingredients, and so we wanted to try out many different mash bills and see how they all went to see what we wanted to use going forward, scaling up into 53-gallon barrels for many years. So we actually made 4 different mash bills. We aged them all individually, and then we chose 3 of those mash bills to make a blend for BB1 and BB2. This is BB2. It is high corn. It's about 60% corn, but then high wheat as the flavoring grain. So this has about 20% wheat, and then the balance is rye and malted barley. So technically this would be a 4-grain bourbon, and it's hard to really put a finger on exactly what the finished mash bill is because it is made in that blended style, but all Long Road mash bills, all made right here and aged right here.
I get a ton of nutmeg on the nose. I don't know if that's just me, but that's well done.
Thank you.
Smells great. Complex. Tasty. Easy drinking spirit. I don't know. I wouldn't mix this guy. This is straight, yeah.
There is nothing here that I would mix, and I was waiting until the end to say that. But you know, I'm on Instagram, of course, as Evan Haskell. But prior to that, I was bourbon neat because that's the only way to drink bourbon. Now, that being said, a lot of this other stuff, a gin or say a vodka, that's the only way I would choke it down is if it was mixed. But here today, I wouldn't, and Nick is a master, at a bartender and slinging cocktails and making phenomenal drinks, so I'm sure he could work wonders with this. However, it's not necessary. It's not a necessary step.
You know, the challenge always is to let your base spirit shine and augment it and make something new and unique out of it without overshadowing it. And so when you get something interesting and complex, you know, you don't necessarily want to do that. Is that what we're up to now?
After 7 other spirits, you know, you just start drinking what you like, so.
All right, let's bring her home.
Outstanding. Oh, this is a real treat. This is a real treat right here.
So no, this is our cherry brandy. It is 100% whole tart cherries from West Michigan. Also from Heffern Farms in Belding, Michigan. He does a lot of things. But we used 8,000 pounds of tart cherries. We didn't add any water. We fermented the fruit in its own juice. And in the end, we yielded 325 pints. And then we did some math, and we figured out that we're using about 8 times the cherries that a normal Kirschwasser would use. So 24 pounds of cherries in every pint. Unfortunately, it's pretty expensive to make and to buy from us now because we're just trying to not lose too much money on it, but it's really good.
So 8,000 pounds of cherries, and that's like 10 Evans right there. And
It's a lot more than that.
thank you. Thank you. But I was able to try this, and after trying it, I actually gifted it to my sister. Not because I didn't love it, I do, but I knew she would be head over heels for it, and I was like brother of the year for sharing this with her. So, I mean, this is dessert. This is candy.
I don't believe you. This is not a liqueur. There is so much on the nose and so much sweetness. I don't believe you.
Well, believe it. There's no sugar added. This is just This is fruit distillate, and this is why we got that German piece of equipment. For this reason, we can bypass all of the plates and capture all of that flavor at a lower proof. So right up front, yep, that's what happens. On the front, you're going to get, on the nose, you'll get a ton of that kind of spiced cherry aroma. You'll get a little bit of that right away on the palate, but then you get some of that almond flavor. You'll get the almond characteristic because there's pits in the cherries, so the stone fruit contributes that almond.
Did you take his sip already?
I'm impatient.
Okay, darn it. I was trying to stop you and tell me if this is right. The sweetness that punches you in the nose in the best way ever isn't as apparent on the and that is what absolutely blew me away, because I loved it. You know, the fear was that, you know, as sweet as it is, on the nose, maybe I'm only going to be able to take a sip or two of this. But once that hit my palate, I was blown away. It's very complex. It's delicious, but it isn't overly sweet like the nose would suggest. So to me, this is just so unique and delicious. And I'm going to try some now.
So when did you make this? Because I want to know, is this amazing aroma going to stick around?
Are you asking if it will fade away over time? Yeah. I don't think that it will. We did make this early fall, I guess. We released it in October. So this is obviously, with only 325 pints, it's a seasonal release. We put out a few cases into distribution. That went really well. We have about 6 more cases here, so we're tempted to put out another few cases, but we're also now using this in a couple cocktails. We've paired this with our bourbon. We call it All Our Friends because it's all our friends, and it's really fun in a cocktail.
Can you can you do the right concoction here for me?
No, because we don't have all the ingredients. It's not just bourbon and cherry.
Well, see,
but
I'm bourbon meat. This is as much of a cocktail.
This is Evan's cocktail.
The closest thing I do to a cocktail is dropping a couple of antacid into a glass of water. So, you know, mixing these two together, I think might just... You could sell that. You can sell that at the bar.
Yep. No, and it's been really fun to see bartenders play with this. The challenge with it is there's so much flavor. You can easily overdo it, and that's the only thing you taste. Actually, in Detroit, I've had some pretty incredible cocktails with this where people are playing around with it. But yeah, this is something that you can drink neat, you can drink on the rocks. I don't necessarily recommend mixing in a cocktail, but at a quarter or a half an ounce, it does play really well with some other spirits.
Kyle, Evan, thank you so much. This has been a great tour of Long Road Distillers. Please check them out if you are in Grand Rapids. If you find them on your shelves in Michigan or maybe somewhere soon elsewhere, I encourage you to check them out. It's some really good products, and they're doing some great things in Michigan. Thank you so much, everyone.
That was fun. All right, so what do we have time-wise? It is 5 to 5.
All right.